G'day folks, this is Rod Moore from Moore Art School, and I just want to do this brief training video for you to show you how you can earn $500 a day teaching art classes to beginners. Now, Moore Art School, that's basically what we do. We're an art school designed for those who are just starting out painting up to the intermediate level. And I've been teaching art classes now for about 4 or 5 years, and I've taught hundreds of students in our one-day classes and I don't know, thousands through our online classes. So I've had a bit of experience in actually teaching classes, but I thought if you're an artist right now and you're struggling to make money selling paintings and you're looking for another way of just creating some income stream, what I want to show you here is how I've been making up to $500 a day teaching art classes, how you can do the same. And it's really not that difficult. There's a few steps to it, and I'll talk you through those. But first of all, let's just have a look at the maths so that you can see what I'm talking about here. I've got my trusty markers. So if we said our goal was to make $500 a day, and for a lot of artists, that would make a big difference to be able to bring that sort of money in from doing a one-day art workshop. Now, there's a lot more money to be made teaching art. There's a lot of artists out there who make a lot more money than that, but let's just keep it conservative. I'm not the greatest artist in the world. I'll be the first to admit that. I'm a very good teacher, and I've developed a teaching system that helps beginners get started painting. So I've become very good at that, but as an artist, I'm not the greatest artist in the world by a long shot, and who is? So we'll keep it conservative, and we'll talk about $500 a day. So here's what I do in my art classes, and you can model this if you like. Or you can take this idea and just adjust it to suit you and where you're at with your art career. But for me, I thought if I could make $500 a day teaching art, I'd be pretty happy with that, right? So the way it breaks down for me is I do first of all a one-day beginner workshop. Okay. Beginner art classes. So these are people who have never painted before. They've always had a dream to paint, but didn't think they had any talent. Or maybe they've dabbled, they've been to the art supply store, they've bought a few bits and pieces, they've dabbled a little bit in painting, but they don't have the confidence and the skills up to around about the intermediate level. They're the people that I like to teach, I feel comfortable teaching, and that I attract, right? So I do a one-day class for those people, and in that one-day class I charge $97 for the day. Okay, that's here in Australia. What that amount is going to be for you is going to be dependent on your local area, obviously, but I can only use the example that I've had experience in doing. So my goal is to get 10 of these beginners into a one-day class. Okay, so 10 at $97, so that equals $907 income, right? That's not how much money I take away, that's the revenue for that one-day art class. Okay, there's obviously costs involved in that. So the way I market my art classes is because I'm talking to beginners, I market it in a way where I provide everything for them. They don't have to have anything, right? Because I'm looking to tap into that market of people who have never painted before. They don't own any brushes, but they've always had a bit of a dream about doing a bit of painting, right? So that's why I provide everything to them. Now, if you're a more experienced artist, maybe you're a professional artist and you've made your income out of selling your paintings in the past, and you're looking to add revenue streams to your art business. Maybe you have a different target market. Maybe your target market is intermediate to advanced painters, and those people are going to have their own brushes, their own paints and so on, so you wouldn't provide everything to them. But also, you've got to contrast that with, well, if you're an experienced artist, then you still need to be charging at the level that you're at. So there's a little bit you have to think through here. But for me, it made sense that I was going to go after beginners. I was going to charge $97 and I was going to provide everything for them. So what that means is, out of that $97, so I'll put the $97 here, okay, I would provide all the materials. So the materials, of course, are the canvas and the paints, and brushes and easels and things like that. You don't have to buy the brushes and you have to buy the easels once, usually. I've got a whole lot of them here on the floor in the studio. The brushes, I replace my brushes every 3 to 6 months, depending on how rough the students are with them. But they're like, you outlay the money up front for those to get your art business, your art teaching business established. You don't have to pay that each time. So the materials really break down to the canvas and the paints and maybe some paper towel for people to clean up. So I would allocate out of for each student $20 for materials. That's pretty conservative, right? What a little trick here, I'll give you a little secret that I found, is that if you are going to provide the materials, get a good quality canvas, right? That's a little example. So I provide a canvas of that size. This is not one of the projects, it's something I was playing around with, but that's the sort of size canvas I provide. What's that, about 12 by 16. Don't make it too big because it's a one-day class. Too big a canvas is going to take them too long, right? 12 by 16. But what I found was when I went for the cheapest canvas, it didn't absorb the paint that well and students got frustrated, so I paid a little bit more for the canvas, got an intermediate quality, not the best quality, not the cheap rubbish either. So I think I ended up paying about $9 a canvas for something like that, hence the $20. Now paint plus paper towel. So I paid $20 per student for materials, and then I would pay for refreshments, morning tea, afternoon tea. Now again, you don't have to do this. I wanted my beginners to come along and have an experience where everything was taken care of. They could come and just have fun, meet the other students, and really enjoy the experience. So I provided morning and afternoon tea, and I allocated about $10 cost to that for biscuits and coffee and milk and things like that. Not lunch, but morning and afternoon tea. So that's about $10 per person I found, okay? Not everyone had the biscuits, not everyone drank the tea and coffee, but on average, say about $10. Now, if you're teaching the class in an area where there's lots of cafes, maybe you don't need that. But I found it better to keep them in the art room during morning tea and afternoon tea, so they could bond and connect with me as the art teacher, so I could sell them into other classes later on, right? If you let them all wander off at every break, you don't have that interaction, that social time. Now, lunchtime, you need to let them go out for 40 minutes, get some fresh air. But I found that my sales into other courses were better when I chatted with them over a cup of tea and we had a biscuit together, right? So I found that worked really well for me. And then the other thing is I don't have my own venue, so I have to hire a venue, a church hall or an art room somewhere, and usually that would cost me about $150. So out of 10 students, it's probably cost me on average about $100 because I also found rooms for free. So if I averaged it out, probably about $100. I found rooms for free at my local art supply store who had a bit of a room set up, and it made sense for them to give me the room for free, come and teach a class. Those students would wander out and they'd buy art supplies, on the day. So, but on average, I probably spent $100. So let's call that room hire, okay, of $10. So I'm talking about 10 people, $100. That's about $10. So my cost to have a student in the room was about $45. Okay, I'm charging them $97. That means I'm making $52 profit per person. Okay, 10 people in the room, that gives me $520 that I'd make for that one day art class. Now, you could do that once a month, you could do it once a week, you could do it a couple of times a week if you wanted. I mean, if you did one class a month, one class a week, that'd be 4 a month, you'd be making $2,000 extra income as an artist a year, $24,000 a year, right? Not a bad little income stream, and once you start to learn how to teach people through an art class, you can then take those people and then sell them into a 6-week program where you do a basic landscape course, different courses, online courses, you can sell them, online projects, you can have DVDs to sell them, you can even get your own brand of art supplies and sell that to them. So this is really the engine that drives an art teaching business, is getting your one-day classes working well. I'll do another video on how you can take this strategy and use it as a little bit of a loss leader to bring in lots and lots of people and then sell them out into other things so they become regular students. Because when you get, really, if you were running 4 classes a month, because you want to do this as a bit of part-time income, additional income stream, and you only need 10 people. Well, what I can tell you is those, to get 10 people 4 times a month, that's 40 places you have to fill. But half those people will be regulars, and in fact, I got up to one stage where I had probably more than 2/3, let's say probably 80% of my students were rebooking because they'd done previous classes. They became regulars, and I discovered a little trick on how to turn them into regulars as well, which I'll share with you in another video, or if you email me, I'll share it with you in private. So you don't really need to get 40 people to be able to make this sort of money. You really only need to get a handful of regulars. Now, 8 regulars who come every week, plus a few, right, each week. Or let's say you had 20 regulars who filled up 80% of these places, then it becomes easy at that point. The hardest part is the initial getting it started, right? But $500 a day is definitely very doable. Teaching one-day workshops is what I've been doing. It's what built my Moore Art School business. It was built on the back of this type of strategy, I guess, if you like. Now, there's a few things that make this work. Obviously, to get 10 people, there's a little thing you're going to need called marketing, right? You're going to need a marketing system to get those 10 people. And this is where a lot of artists fall down. They're not good at marketing. They don't know how to use the internet to attract people to them and do local community marketing to really find those 10 people. Something I'm very good at, because before I was an artist, I was a marketing consultant, and I've applied everything I know to build Moore Art School, which is why we've grown so quickly. So you're going to need some marketing, right? So depending on where you're at with your marketing, it may be that the $52 you're making in profit here may be re-sunk back into marketing in the early days, right? So there's going to be a period of time where you need to build up your database and build up your regulars before you can walk away with $500 a day pure profit. You need to reinvest some of that money to get it started, right? But whether you're using things like Facebook ads or getting 8 cents a click, you can do it very cheaply when you know what you're doing as far as marketing goes. In fact, just to give you a little bit of an example, what we're doing is running Facebook ads, and I normally only show this to those who are in my Moore Certified Instructor program, but while I'm talking about it, I'll share it with you. We use Facebook ads. Let's say we're getting 10 cent clicks, okay? So for $1, I get 10 people to come to a page where I talk about the art class with a photo and a spot to put their email address in to find out more about our art classes. That puts those people then into a database, and as that database grows bigger and bigger of people in my local area, my goal is to get it bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And it's not just Facebook ads, there's YouTube videos, there's having a website and a blog, there's Google, maps, things like that, there's local area marketing. There's a lot of things you can do to get them to this landing page, so they go in your database. But the bigger that gets, that database, the easier it gets to find those people, right? Because they're already in your database. Just takes time to get that momentum going, and that's what's most important. Anyway, $500 a day, highly achievable if you're serious about making extra money, teaching art. And if you love art and you love working with people, it's one of the best things you could ever do. I absolutely love helping our students learn how to paint. It's one of the best feelings in the world. And over the years, I've developed a model to help students get a fantastic result. Because here's the key, if you're talking about beginners and they come to a one-day class, they need to walk away with a finished painting in their hands that they're proud of, right? And that they take it home and their husband or wife goes, oh, wow, I didn't know you had artistic talent. And all their friends say, it's fantastic, well done, Mary, right? And she's really proud of it. She puts it on the wall, and every day she goes and makes a cup of tea, and she looks in the lounge room, and there's her painting, right? What do you think that does? It makes her think, wow, maybe I should do more of this, right? So I've developed a methodology to help our students get fantastic results. It's what I call the Moore method of painting. You need a way of teaching. Now, the thing I've found is a lot of artists aren't good teachers, right? They're brilliant at what they do as far as painting for themselves. They don't know how to transfer that to students in a way that helps the student become a good painter and realise their potential. So what I did is I spent 4 or 5 years developing a methodology called the Moore method of painting. And that's why our classes work really well, and we do have 80% regular bookings into our classes, right? Is because we have a way of helping them get what they want, which is a painting that they're happy with at the end of the day. Anyway, if you want to find out more about our Moore certification program, I'll pop a link under this video. Go and check it out. It's worth having a look at what we're doing because it could help you get to this point very quickly. and or this point here very quickly, or there's no limit to how much money you can make as an art teacher. I mean, look at Bob Ross' organisation, right? Now, Bob's long passed on, but I don't know how much money they make, but I assume it would be in the millions, right? Art teacher who then sells out into other things like art supplies and so on. So there's no limit to how much money you can make, but $500 for a one-day class, $2,000 a month as a part-time art teacher, and upwards from there. If you want to find out what we're doing in that space, click the link underneath, go and check out the information. It might be for you, it might not. Regardless, hopefully this has helped you. Have a great day and happy painting. Cheers.